Hello, welcome to the NormalCast, our movie talk podcast. I'm Matt,
I'm Adam.
and we haven't done this in like, what is it, a month and a half, 2 months? It seems like a long
Probably
time.
2 months.
We're busy, Pete. We're college students. We had finals, then
Yeah.
people were on
And
vacation.
college summers are always busy.
College summers are so busy, and it's just been a lot of things going on. But we're back. We're here to talk about movie news. We've missed so much. I've mostly pulled from like recent stuff, really, so it's not like we're gonna go back over everything. But I'm just excited to get back into it. Are you, Adam?
Yes.
Good. That's the answer I wanted. If you said no, I don't know what I would have done. Like it would have been a real rough
We would have still done
podcast.
it. It would just been a lot
Really.
harder.
So first thing I just want to talk about because last weekend, and who knows when I'm releasing this, probably just going to be kind of a late week thing. I'm not going to wait for a normal schedule for when I put this podcast out. But Men in Black International came out. Did you see it?
No.
Me neither. That seems to be the general trend of most people have not seen the movie. It was a solid, like, last I checked, I think this is a little outdated. I think it went down a percent. I think now it's 23% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's not good.
The same percentage as Dark Phoenix. Also, great stuff. This was more recent, so I just want to talk about this one more, like, box office wise. It's made 103 million total. Its opening weekend was only like 30 domestically. They spent 110 on it, and the advertising for this movie, I don't know if you've noticed, they were advertising the heck out of this movie, like everywhere.
Yeah.
The
The only thing I remember is when you showed me or talked about the trailer that didn't have audio.
When they released a trailer that didn't have audio one time, that was really fun. They corrected that so quickly, like no one even knew it happened except me. Like there were like on the video, I found like there were people talking about it, but the general public didn't even realize they messed up on another trailer. But so like cause the finals in basketball happened recently. Do you watch those at all?
No.
I was rooting for the Toronto Raptors and they won, so I was excited. Just because Golden State's won the last like 2 years or something.
Yeah, it's like Tom Brady.
But that's not movies. But the point is that there were so many advertisements during the finals for Men in Black. Like stuff with the players, like it was like players with eyes in the back of their head and like Men in Black style. It was annoying but kind of cute. I don't know. I wasn't a fan. The point is they probably spent a lot of money on advertising. They already haven't made their budget back and I don't think it's going to quite do well.
So no sequel?
Probably not. It's a shame. So, and then I heard that there was a lot of behind the scenes to explain some of the madness that went on that I'd like to share with you. So, apparently the director, was making the movie. He was working with a producer, executive, if you will, in the company. That executive left the company early in production. And so then the new producer came on, like, and director clashed constantly. Like, it was like a really bad scene. They were like, the quote was script changes before and while shooting, which is never a good sign. Apparently, because like Chris and Tessa were given new pages like every day, and like they at one point it supposedly they hired some of their own dialogue writers just to help them like be able to like every day like here's the new script, help me make this better, kind of like we need something, which is so sad. It's nice to know they tried.
Yeah.
Because in the commercials, it looks like they're both trying really hard, but to me it sounds like I heard in general the story is just so like bland. It's not like a terrible movie. I just heard it was so like cookie cutter, vanilla kind of.
I'm sure they have good chemistry, the two ones.
I mean, they were great in Thor Ragnarok. Love those two. Because apparently, the producer was Walter Parks, director was F. Gary Gray. I almost read F. Gary. I'm like, what a strange name. So at the end, apparently they each had their own cuts, and they showed it to people. And the producer had the final say, so he chose his cut, which is just the worst way to like handle anything. I can't believe that happened. I don't know. Like, what do you do in a situation like that? You just,
as the director, you can't do anything.
You're just kind of stuck. I mean, because there's so many. It's weird because it seems like there's a really strong history. You could look at Four Stick, the Josh Trank Fantastic Four movie, of when a studio's like, we're not sure about your movie. It's like some producer like gives you all the notes and says, this is what I want it to be. That's what the people will like and it'll sell the tickets. It never quite seems to work out. Yeah. Have you noticed that?
Or maybe just like that's when we hear about it when it doesn't work out, and when it does work out, nobody hears about it.
Maybe.
But I really would like to see both versions of two directors and a producer, and
Yeah. Give us that Gary Gray cut, you know?
yeah.
Give me
I
that.
want to see Josh Trank's Fantastic Four.
I'd love to, because I still don't think it would be good, but I'd love to see how different it is from what
Yeah,
happened. Because the end result of that movie, for those that haven't seen it, it's the most clearly studio made like ending to a movie I've ever seen.
it's like the most
It's
conf-
jarring.
it's the most jarred I've ever been in a movie. I could,
Because we were in a theater, we went to see it in theaters as a gag because it had like a 7% when we went to see it
yeah.
on Rotten Tomatoes, and like literally one of our friends like tapped us on the leg and was like, "Dude, I think this is the ending," and we were like shocked. We
It
couldn't.
can't be the
The
end.
pacing was like just. It was because there were moments that were so slow, and then a weird time jump, and then you just felt like over the cliff and tumbled into the ending. It was
Yeah,
insane. It's I don't know. That was crazy to me, but
it's just so unique of a experience. I've never had something quite like it.
yeah, cause and so many clearly like reshot things, cause that's the problem with like that movie has like a wig, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the wig you always know.
Yep.
One of the actresses they just give her the worst wig ever, so you could tell every reshot scene, and that was a bad wig. But we're getting a little out of topic. The Men in Black just like seems like a similar thing happened. It's a real shame. I don't know. Men in Black's been one of those franchises that I've heard no one's really liked the sequels too much. Like I've heard they're okay, but everyone's been kind of like the first one they really like. It's like I've never been a huge fan of the franchise. Have
I've
you?
seen like the first one a long time ago and don't remember much about it.
Yeah.
So I'm yeah, I've never been a huge fan.
Okay. Because it was, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like the one that never. Somehow they kept making movies every once in a while. Because again, these days companies just like IPs, you know, and
Hmm.
intellectual property. It's a name people will recognize, so they go for it. It always baffles me, but clearly, like when producers just realize like this is a product, we have to put the things in it that usually movies have, and that seems like what happened here.
Yeah.
Someone looked at it like a thing on a like a pie chart of like where are the profits going to come from this week? Oh, like it's that's a movie. It's one of those action movies in the summer, you know, movie, and they try to overanalyze it. But that's all I've got for that. It's just a shame to hear about that. Here's a not much better news story. Well, it depends on how you feel about these. Hunger Games. You do you like the Hunger Games, Adam?
I don't dislike them, but I
Okay.
wouldn't say I like them.
Have you seen all the films?
No.
Oh, okay. I have seen all the films. I don't like them. I give a little bit of credit to the second film because at least it surprised me that it wasn't as bad as I thought it
That's
was
the
going
one
to
I
be.
remember seeing. So that's
Okay.
probably what I'm
It's the one
thinking
with
about.
Philip Seymour
Yeah.
Hoffman prominently in it. And I liked him because there was like a mystique around his character. And it actually like it took the formula and was like, there's something a little more going on behind the scenes. But then those movies just got boring and bad and I hated Peeta's guts. But I'm sorry, that's a weird tangent that I didn't mean to go off on. The point is that there's currently a prequel book being written to the Hunger
By the
Games.
same person?
But yes, same person. I didn't write down the name, and I'm not going to Google it
Stephanie
now.
something.
Let's go with Stephanie. So Stephanie's writing this one that's 64 years before the ones we know, and it's like because I guess the history of that, if you remember, was there was a big war, a failed rebellion, and then so the rebellion people were put into the groups that like get chosen to be Hunger Gamed.
Yeah.
So this is like repairing after the war, setting up some of the first Hunger Games, I guess. Sure.
Maybe.
Like pretty much Lionsgate is unofficially already on board to make a movie of it, is why it's on our movie news here. I'm not just here to talk about a book for a series I've never read. So I never read the books one, but did you even read the books for those?
Yeah, I read the first one because it was in like a school thing. We had a list to choose from, and I chose that one
Oh, the
because
reading lists.
that one's popular, so I'll figure out what's going on.
I never read any of them because I was just one of those kids that like literally everyone wouldn't shut up about them. And I'm usually not a very contrarian guy. I usually do like the big popular movies because they're good for a reason most of the time. But that was one where I'm just like, I'm not even gonna touch this book because people won't shut up about how much they love them. And then like even though at the end, like when the last book came out, like a lot of those people were like, I don't like the ending too much. Like the ending wasn't very
Yeah.
good. But regardless, I mean, that plays back into Lionsgate really wants their franchise and they want more and more of this. I'm worried because it sounds like what's going to happen with the whole Fantastic Beasts, forgot what it was called there for a second, the Harry Potter
Mm.
prequels, where like she's writing those scripts the original like writer of Harry
Oh,
Potter.
really?
What's her name?
J.R.R. Tolkien.
That's close. John C.
J.K.
Riley.
Rowling.
Oh, okay. J.K. Rowling. Rowling. So she actually wrote the scripts, and a lot of people are like, because she wrote books, and then people turn that into scripts, and so a lot of people are like, I don't know if she knows quite how to like pace a movie versus a book,
Yeah, it's different.
and so anyway, a lot of people. All I heard was the last one. Like a lot of people didn't like it, and that was because Warner Bros. Like wanted their franchise so bad because DC wasn't exactly working, and they're like, "Yeah, Rowling, just write us some more, please. Go, 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 just do it." People like the name; they know Harry Potter, and so yeah, I think it's a similar kind of thing of where Lionsgate is panicking
Yeah.
because they realize everyone's trying to franchise a big thing.
I think this idea of a prequel is going to be a much better book than it is a movie because I think the world building concept is interesting
I
and
think
just
that works better in books than movies.
yeah.
It's just one of those things, It's like you can read about like, because that's like Tolkien has hundreds of books of world building. Like pre Lord of the Rings, like universe, like just lore books
Yeah.
that I hear are very interesting to read. But no one wants to make a movie out of like a lore book.
Yeah.
It's that's a lot of these days. Everyone's trying to adapt everything into a movie, and I guess just after looking at that, it's just made me realize like there's a lot of things that just don't work as movies. Even there's like things that I'm like, yeah, that works better as a series, a TV show that should not be made into a movie, kind of a thing. I don't know. That's weird to me. Hopefully it goes well. I mean, if it's a good movie, I'll watch it, but then again, it's like I have no attachment to the
Yeah,
world.
I won't go see it unless like everyone.
It would
If
have to be
five people tell me I have to go see
five
it,
people are
then
like,
I'll
you
go see
gotta
it.
see it, man. I'm gonna come to you and be like, dude, I just saw it. You've got to, and I'll say it to you 5 times. So you.
No, that's not part.
Oh,
It's
it's
gotta be
got
five
five
different.
different people. I'll just pay people to tell you.
You can dress up. It'll be.
Just I'll put a mustache on, tell you every time, like, dude, you gotta go see this movie. Just random guy on the street you've never met,
Yeah.
like, bro, like puts his hand on your shoulder, like, you gotta see the new Hunger Games prequel. Besides that, this is Zack Snyder throwing more fuel on the fire of the Snyder Cut, if you will. You know,
Oh, BVS.
Justice League.
Oh.
Because, everyone, for those that don't know, Justice League came out, people didn't like it. Everyone's like, give us the Snyder Cut, because apparently, they changed his movie a lot. And more keeps coming out that they changed it a lot. But also, there was never a real Snyder Cut. They had an assembly cut at some point. That's not a movie. It's like, it's just this literally everything you have filmed. Like, let's look at it together.
Yeah.
And so it's it doesn't exist, but people still want it. And during Father's Day, I'm just crushing people's dreams unashamedly. So during Father's Day, he decides something about like to the big daddy himself, like, and he put a picture of it. Didn't look like concept art to me. It looked like an actual frame from the film. There's the flashback sequence in Justice League where they show like the big fight with Steppenwolf. Do you remember that? This image is showing like in front of the spaceships Steppenwolf standing there, except it's not Steppenwolf, it's a young Darkseid. It's like originally that was supposed to be Darkseid.
That would have been better.
So, and it's like I believe his name is, I had to look it up, Uxas, like Uxas is before he took the title Darkseid.
Okay.
And that's weird, like that would have been a completely different story and probably insanely more interesting. Cuz
Like, yeah, why would they not use Darkseid if they have the rights to him and he's a lot more popular and
Yeah.
interesting?
Because when Snyder envisioned it, I thought he wanted to do a two-parter, but even then, because it sounds to me like it was going to be. Here's my guess, because he did. There were, I believe, Kevin Smith talked about that there were unknown after credit scenes that they didn't use that Zack Snyder planned, and it was going to be you get your like first big reveal of Darkseid in the after credits of Justice League. So it seems like he was going to feature in like you were going to see glimpses of him in that like failed conquering Earth thing. Then he becomes Conqueror of Apocalypse, and then he sends Steppenwolf to like get it ready for him, and then that's so two-parter. Then he comes in the two-parter.
Okay.
But then when they cut it down to one movie, they're like just Steppenwolf all the way. Like we're not gonna, which is
Lean in
really
hard.
weird to me. But it's one of those because I was reading about like, and this kind of you could do this with kind of his origin they've used sometimes is that Darkseid, to me, he was always just the big gray villain Like there was a lot of like even there was an animated Justice League movie that like did a Dark Side invasion. He's just a final boss. There's no like,
Yeah.
character to it, but they could have gone with that route because he was not first in line to the throne apparently in like some comic runs, and like so they could tie this in, and this is like somewhat similar to some comics of like he failed conquering Earth and he goes back and he's got like a big chip on his shoulder, but he has this like real desire to rule, and he's basically like usurps like the people above him in the bloodline and
Mm.
becomes like the ultimate ruler. And that would be cool to then see like returning like this is the chip on his shoulder. Like that'd be an interesting
Yeah.
character arc. And that's the kind of thing you do if you say made movies building up your characters, and then let's say you had a movie, let's just call it Infinity War, where the character that has the most screen time is the bad guy, so
Yeah.
you get him, and then you have the big thing. It's just like clearly that would have been the way to go, because that would have been cool if you get like, because that's one of those things about Infinity War that it's like Darkseid has like people have like made charts like he has significantly more like character. He's on screen more than any other
Yeah.
character because they built up the other characters. So now let's let you know who the villain is. And so then they made a movie where we don't know most of these characters. I still feel like I didn't know Cyborg's motivations at the end or quite understand Flash besides the
Uh,
gag guy.
yeah, I didn't care after a while about who they were.
And so in that movie, I don't know, trying to introduce people, I think it just leads to the whole idea that they really rushed it. You know,
Yeah, everyone knew
everyone
that.
knows that they rushed it so bad, but it's cool to see glimpses of. Again, that doesn't mean the Snyder cut would have been amazing. It's saying like, oh, there's pieces of something that if they had like a competent person steering this ship,
Yeah.
they could have gotten somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting because it looked like a frame from the film. So I'm curious if they actually got any far with those effects. Maybe he just had someone make it for him so he could be like, "See, guys, still like me. I'm good. I've made the thing you would have liked." But yeah, there's no Snyder cut. Don't get your hopes up, everybody. Sorry, that's just me coughing and dying. I apologize right now if the audio is weird because this is a janky setup we've got here. We're in a room we don't normally record, and there's an air conditioner right behind us. But who cares? We'll be fine, right, Adam? You've got water in your mouth. Sorry, I shouldn't have tried to talk to you.
Yes, it'll be all right.
I need you to talk longer while I was drinking. So, this is the year of Keanu Reeves, and I want to talk about it real quick. He's been in like everything. John Wick 3 did really well, supposedly. I haven't seen it, but I heard he's great in it. Um, he's he was in that. He's in Toy Story 4, which comes out this
Oh,
weekend.
really?
Yeah, he voices a character I've heard is a bit of a scene stealer. Like he's really funny.
Okay.
I've heard like, and the director was like, I was surprised. Like he was improvising stuff too. Like he's really funny. Like because I don't know, people don't know. See, I love me some Keanu these days, and I used to be hard on him. I used to give like a lot of crap to like that. I'm like, oh, he can like, how is this guy like popular? He can. I used to say he could barely act and all that,
I think a
but
lot of people did.
he's got a limited range. But in
Yeah.
his range, he can act really well. I
Yeah.
think. I think it's just like hard to say. He's having a big year. There's petitions right now for him to get like Person of the Year. Like people, like the internet. Let me just say the internet is in love with him.
Person of
Just
the year a thing?
yeah, doesn't like Time do it or something?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
Time
yeah.
Magazine. Then again, maybe they didn't mean that, and they were literally just like, let's just all agree he's the best person this year. But it's like interviews and stuff. He's just so charming, and he's a really down to earth guy too. It's like there's lots of like I knew this beforehand, but he's like very frequent like donating to like cancer research and things like that. I
Yeah.
think that was what it is, cancer research. Whatever, fact check me, someone. And one thing is just that E3 was last week, as I've talked about before. It's for those that don't know, it's the Comic Con of video games. Cyberpunk 2077 is like the big game everyone's excited about. It's a very like open world cybernetic enhancement. It's a cyberpunk world, and they showed a cool little cinematic trailer for it. And then at the end, like the character wakes up in a junkyard, and it's like first person, and like someone walks up, and they're like, "Yo, wake the f up! Like we've got a city to burn." And they bend down. It's freaking Keanu Reeves in the video game, like doing full like mocapture, I assume, and voice work. And this was at a crowd at like a stage in E3,
Oh.
and they like everyone because again the internet loves him right now, lost their minds. And then the thing comes up and it says, Please welcome Keanu Reeves.
Oh
And he
my
comes out
gosh.
on stage at E3, and people won't stop clapping. And he's so like funny because he's like reading off a prompter, but he's like, guys, I need to talk to you about something. Like, he's like, so, and he's like cheesing it up because it's kind of like boring talk about the video game, like in
Yeah.
this world. But he's like, this is like so cool. Cyberpunk. Like he's just like, and everyone's cheering every word he says. At one point, like even there's one where he's just like, "You're working in the sleazy underbelly of the city," and one guy's just like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Yeah," just pointing back to him, like, and then he starts laughing at himself. And he keeps trying to stay on track. And at one point, someone just yells from the crowd in the middle of him talking, "You're breathtaking!" And he laughs and he just immediately turns around, "You're breathtaking! You're all breathtaking!" Just to the whole crowd. And everyone got so excited. And then he's laughing. He's like, "Wait, I need to finish this." And he's like, "You guys want to know, like, the release date?" And just like so adorable. And then they're like, "Yeah," and then he's like, "Then check this out," and points to the screen. Big fanfare, shows the release date. Apparently, like, he had been like not able to talk about this for a few years, kind of back before like there was the huge renaissance of Keanu Reeves. So
Yeah.
that's cool. But boy, if it's like true, because I think he said like years ago, like it might have been like 3 years. The people making this game that they chose him 3 years ago, and now he's like literally the most popular person on the internet. Good on them! Like, what a perfect storm of advertising.
Someone came back from 2019 to tell them.
Yeah, and another big thing is that because the internet loves him so much, people have been asking like, "Hey, Kevin Feige, you ever put him in an MCU movie?" And Kevin Feige says they have for like a year or so been talking on and off with him. Like, we've been trying to find the right place for him. We have been trying to get him in this franchise.
Get him.
Get him in. I want him in. And so I wanted to ask you, can you think off the top of your head what you want him to play? Because there's a lot out there.
I don't think I'd want him to be like a popular figure. Maybe like since they're trying to do more cosmic stuff, which I don't know much about.
Right.
Have him be like some sort of god, maybe.
That was one because there's the thing called Eternals coming out.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And a
thinking
lot
of.
because there's like a million. I don't know anything about Eternals really, except they're kind of eternal alien beings. Have him be one of those.
I think that would be
He
good.
doesn't even have to be a main character, but have him be like a big character in the Eternals movie. Just have him be a spaceman. A lot of people have talked about things like, some people have thrown out like Adam Warlock because they've teased that for Guardians. That he'd be an interesting mix
That
with the
would be
Guardians.
interesting.
That'd be an interesting mix. Like that could be great, or it could not work.
Yeah.
Some people, because he's a real chill dude, is like he's like so like cool and going with the flow. Some people said Silver Surfer, which I think would be really funny. But you want the face value.
I want Keanu to be there.
Yeah, you want full Keanu. I've also heard Moon Knight on the internet. Because Moon Knight just like murders indiscriminately, and I think they want the John Wick of like, because Moon Knight's my understanding, it's dual personality thing going on, and like he just has no problem killing people, like criminals, just like slaughtering them, and I think people are like want the John Wick to meld with that. I'd watch it.
Yeah,
But
I'm not gonna say he can do whatever he wants because he does have a limited range.
yes.
But
So speaking of limited range, I was wondering, do you think he could play a villain?
it'd have to be within the MCU a more comedic villain.
Yeah. Because one I saw just like one website was throwing out like Nightmare as like a Doctor Strange villain. Like he could match the look pretty well, but it's a very like menacing kind of. I'm not saying he couldn't do it. I just don't like see that when I look at him because he's such a. To me, he usually plays the good guy,
Yeah.
and I think he's good at it. Like some people, like the same way I don't think Chris Pratt should play a bad guy. I don't think it would work very well. He's a little too lovable. His face is too soft, and
I saw a trailer for like a Western movie.
Oh, he is playing a villain in some like Billy the Kid movie.
Yeah, but it didn't look super good.
No, it
but
didn't.
the cast was really good.
The cast didn't that was Vincent directing it? Vincent D'Onofrio?
That sounds. Yeah.
I think that's it. I think
And I
he's
think Ethan
directed
Hawke was in it.
it. Ethan Hawke was in it. Absolutely. Okay, that's off topic, but yeah, that's that was. But yeah, I don't know. Keanu, I'd be fine with him being an Eternals thing. I didn't come up with this. I heard someone else say it. Just that it was really funny. Someone on like a Screen Junkies universe said, "Yo, I think you should finally do a flashback with Spider-Man and he's Uncle Ben." Like, because it's like Spider-Man's always making these movie references because his awesome uncle Keanu Reeves kept showing all these movies to him. And like, and think right now if you did that, how like because they'd be like, "Oh, hey, Uncle Ben," and it would show him. Everyone would be like, oh, "Keanu Reeves! Oh no, he's Uncle Ben! He's gonna die!" Think of how much they'd mourn. Like if you
That,
really want to gut punch people.
that'd be really interesting too. Just like him being the origin of all the movie references and
That'd be. I think like that'd be really cute if you did a full on. I think for in general they're gonna stay away from Uncle Ben because we've had two Uncle Bens,
yeah.
and I
No,
think
and
that's
there's no
wise.
need.
But it's a fun idea to think about.
He's he'd be a good father figure.
Yeah, I look forward to see whatever he's gonna do. Yeah, he should just play so many father figure roles now.
Yeah.
I just want him to play so many things. He'd be such a rad dad. So now we're gonna talk about a trailer that came out recently. Ugh, I had to burp. I apologize. Doctor Sleep. You saw that, right?
I saw that.
Okay. It's the Shining sequel.
Yeah.
I didn't know at all. Like, so it's Ewan McGregor as the kid from The Shining, and it seems to be like about like this kind of evil organization that's like abducting people that
I really
are
could
similar
not
to
pick up
him.
on the story at
Yeah.
all.
So first of all, I full disclosure, I've never seen The Shining. Have you seen The Shining?
Yes.
Okay.
I've read The Shining.
I've heard. Have you seen and read?
I've seen and read.
Okay, it sounded like you were correcting yourself. So you've seen and read. I've heard they're a bit different, but in general,
Yeah, they're quite different.
yeah. But because the Doctor Sleep, first of all, that was written in 2013.
I also saw the Shining miniseries, which is more faithful to the book. Let me just throw that in.
I didn't know there was a miniseries.
Yeah.
When did that come out?
90s.
Okay. So this book was written in 2013, Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
So that's like a real late sequel by Stephen King. Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's no plans to have a sequel.
Yeah.
When he wrote it.
But so first of all, again, back to me not having seen The Shining, I didn't realize what The Shining was about. Like I looked up the plot summary on Wikipedia so I could just know what was going on in this trailer. I didn't realize it was about like essentially like a kid with psychic abilities and a house trying to possess him and possessing his dad to help possess him.
Yeah.
I did not know that it was about like essentially a kid with an ability. Like I had no idea any of this. So then like I read that and then I understood the trailers about like he seems to be finding other kids that are and like people are coming after him or coming after those kids and I think
Yeah.
he's trying to help him in the same way. Not a bad premise. That's
Yeah.
my opinion. Like
I think Stephen King always has really good premises. There is times when he has trouble like executing it, so like the last third of the book will be underwhelming. But like his setups are always really good.
and when you do movie adaptations, sometimes they fix that.
Yeah.
Like the original like the It book is pretty weird and is very different than the most recent movie everyone loved. And Stephen King actually liked that movie a lot. A lot of the time he's like, I hate my adaptations. They're not faithful to the books, but like
He needs to realize you can't adapt what he's written.
some of the things he's
Yeah.
written should not be put on screen. But also like, because he didn't like Shawshank even, because he's like it's too talky, and I'm like, yeah, it's
Oh, really?
great. Like it was, yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting kind of situation just revolving around that. But I don't know. If it's good, I love Ewan McGregor first off.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see if this is good. It's got the girl from Mission Impossible recently.
Oh, as the bad guy? Is she the
She
bad
seemed
guy?
to be part of the again, couldn't get a strong read on the trailer, but there seemed to be like she was part of the organization or
Yeah.
something kidnapping kids. But yeah, it's a premise I'd like to see more of. It seemed like it was relying really heavily on like imagery from the Shining movie, like to sell
Which-
it in the
yeah.
trailer, which I hear isn't really in the book, but whatever. It's iconic, you know.
Yeah.
That'll get people to. I mean, in the trailer, they're like,
It seems like this is the sequel to the movie and not the book.
yes, it very much. Even though the book this is based on is clearly a sequel to the book Shining, since it's a movie, they're making it a sequel to the movie Shining. Because if I'm not mistaken, in the book, the hotel explodes at the end because of a water heater, is what I
Yep.
read,
That's
as opposed to the dad getting frozen in the ice.
yeah, and then him being in the old-fashioned photo.
I never understood what that
I never
meant. Yeah, okay. Because, yeah, what does that even mean?
It wasn't that. Well,
That might have been a Kubrick ad in there.
yeah,
That's
something like that might have been in the book, or like I should reread it, but
Okay.
I don't remember.
there's some things at the end there that I'm like, what are they going for? When I was just reading about it, because first of all I knew about the end scene just because everyone knows how the China ends.
It's
Oh.
parodied a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Thank you, Key and Peele, for that one. Anyway, that's all I got to say about Doctor Sleep. So moving right along. This is just a quick one about just how the Batman movie, we never talked about how, but it's old news now that Robert Pattinson, congratulations, he's the Batman. I love it. Great pick. First of all, this is just a quick little hot take. I'm just gonna rant here. I saw a really dumb website that had like a list. It's like the 10 reasons you should be worried about Robert Pattinson being Batman. And I'm like, I'm gonna read this. And it was the stupidest thing in the world. Like, he's more of an art house guy now. He has been like he's not wanted to commit to like a contract movie role. I'm like, yeah, Chris Evans didn't want to before. Like no one wants to. Like you have to convince him to sign on for 10 movies. And like there were so many just stupid things. Like he was difficult to work with on Twilight, and it's like that's ridiculous. Like you're being so
Some
dumb.
people are stupid.
It's just it made me mad, and I just wanted to shame anyone who has that problem.
We'll post the link to the website.
Yeah, no, I don't want to name the website. It was just like I just want to say like he's gonna be good for the role. But I brought up the Batman because there are so many rumored villains. Like every time I log on to the internet because that's how the internet works.
Dial it up.
I wait for my dial up, and then I see, lo and behold, more Batman villains are rumored every single time. I mean, like right now it's saying Penguin, Catwoman, Riddler, Firefly, Two-Face, even Mad Hatter.
Everyone but Mad Hatter would be good.
See, well, personally, I don't want a Two-Face again, just because I still feel like we got a Two-Face very recently.
Yeah,
We've had two Two-Faces.
I think Penguin as like a crime boss would be
Penguin
really
is a
cool.
big one. You can do a lot with that. I've heard rumors like people saying Josh Gad is
Just because he's fat.
but he seems into it. If you gross him up, he'd be a good Penguin.
Yeah.
Catwoman for me is like another that I feel like we got that very recently.
Oh yeah, I don't want Catwoman either.
Yeah. Apparently like a front runner like this is more rumor, but like Vanessa Hudgens' name keeps coming up a lot. High School Musical girl.
For Catwoman?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I
Has
don't know.
she been in
I have
things?
no. That's one of those things. Like maybe she's been in something. And she's actually a good actress. I can only think of her as. I'm not even saying she's bad. I'm just saying I can only think of her as High
I
School
think she
Musical.
was in Spring Breakers, which I never saw.
Is that did people like it?
I think people liked it because it was weird. So I don't know if she was good.
People
in it.
like weird things. Yeah, but Catwoman. There was someone else's name. I wish I could remember. Totally forgot to write it down. What's her name? Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Rec apparently
As
wants
Catwoman?
to. She wants to,
No,
but
she's terrible.
she's terrible.
I
Explain yourself.
just like her character in Parks and Rec always annoys me, and so I have a bias against her.
Really, I liked her in Parks and Rec a lot. Anyway, she doesn't seem like the right actor for it, but I'm just
Yeah, that as well.
You just came out so hard against her character. So the other one, Riddler, is one I'd be so down for.
Make it like Saw.
We've talked about that's what you and me really want a serial killer Riddler. Because if you remember, the leads going for Batman, battling for it, were Pattinson and Nicholas Hoult, Beast from the Young X-Men. I think he'd be a good Riddler. Like envision him, put the hat, a cane. I think he'd be a great Riddler. Look up pictures of Nicholas Hoult if you don't know. Because also he usually plays pretty nice guys. And I think if you gave him the chance to just like, not like be like, hoo-hoo, crazy, but just like, I'm a guy, like someone who works an office job, but now like I've been ticked slightly out of place. Like my sanity is just a little broken. I think he could pull that off.
Yeah.
And I'd like to give him that opportunity. Because that's what they did with Scarecrow. He was very close to being Batman in the Chris Nolan movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so then Chris Nolan was like, yo, you're going to be a great Scarecrow. And I love his Scarecrow. So I think they should do a similar thing. Because, I mean, that's also what they did with Loki. He was he was going to be he was in the run-ins for Thor. He went pretty far. He did like test footage and everything. And they're like, hey, you're going to be Loki. And that worked out for him. Yeah. Everyone loves him. But yeah. So anyway, I want Nicholas Hoult for the Riddler. Firefly would be an interesting inclusion because he's not a super well-known Batman villain. For those that know, he's a pyrotechnic kind of guy who works with flamethrowers, explosives, and usually some kind of flight suit.
I liked him a lot in The Batman.
The Batman did like a future teched up one where he was like he was a he was a criminal, right? He was like
Yeah.
he was pulling big heists, used like heat like these very condensed like heat devices, and he was really fast in the air. I'd like if they went like a real because real old school. He's like in a weird like suit, like it looks like a bug killer, like a exterminator suit.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But I wouldn't mind if they go techie kind of with it.
I think they need to go futuristic with this Batman
Then again, there's
series.
rumors it's a little bit of a '90s period piece or something.
90s?
Maybe it was '80s. But anyway, I heard.
80s? No,
But
that's fine.
see, I think I heard what I heard was it's going to be more like the Batman animated series where it exists outside of time, just kind of
I
in the
think that's a
time.
good idea.
But again, those that show got techie occasionally.
Yeah.
Like that show got some. There was like gene splicing. There was some technological advances. So I think that can still work. Because I'd be down for them to go like techie with it, if you will, like what they not like exactly, but in the same spirit of what they did with the Vulture in Spider-Man: Homecoming, of where like
Yeah.
they made it like Chitauri tech and they made it like a tech suit as opposed to the original, which is a man in a feather suit. Which I know people love. Like I'm sure there's lots of great stories, but that looks ridiculous. I'm sorry, that's a like the original Rhino looks really dumb. Like I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like a latex like kind of like beefed up rhino suit, but just like a cutout, like,
Yeah.
and it's still got like rhino eyes up here, like a cutout for his face, like hey, like a kid's birthday party.
I mean, the latest movie Rhino was also not good.
No, that was garbage. You gotta find, or just either the way I've seen Rhino done in like various cartoons is either you build him a suit that still looks cool, or you make it a gene splicing kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what did there's been so many shows I can't even remember. I start getting the villains confused. I think it was more of a suit in the something Spectacular Spider-Man.
Spectacular.
Spectacular Spider-Man. Great show. Watch it, everybody. But yeah. Anyway, I think they should go techie with that one. Two-Face, as I said, I feel like I've got him too much. But Mad Hatter, that's a villain no one knows. I don't know.
I don't
Like,
know. Well, I feel like he is not a good one to start with.
like he could be in the mix, you know. If
Yeah.
it's a in the mix kind of movie where there's just villains at play, to me, like I've seen different representations of him, and I still don't quite know like what is core Mad Hatter. I don't know what he is. They did a fun thing with him. They had him in one episode of Young Justice season 3.
Oh, really?
Great show. Yeah, they had him. He was doing like some nanotech stuff. He was being hired to like because he's I guess a genius in some way, and he was like quirky and weird, and it was enjoyable. But I still don't like. I don't know if that's like comic book Mad Hatter. You know, I don't.
I only know the animated series one where he was just like obsessed with this girl he worked with, and so like he
I don't remember this.
dressed her up as Alice from Alice in Wonderland and like had this whole
Right.
world.
So is that how the cartoon explained why it's just the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah.
That's a someone real. I'm surprised the Mad Hatter has endured like as a character because core fans still know him as a Batman villain. I'm surprised because that was clearly one that people are just like, ah, oh, just like the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. Let's make that into a villain for our Batman character. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting to go through those names. Any villains you'd want to just throw out there that aren't in here? Clayface,
Clayface would be cool. Mr. Freeze could be cool.
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
um, yeah, those are the ones I'd want the most, really.
Like they keep saying that the Joker is like a one-off, but like if it does well, I think they can bring that Joker
If
in.
Joaquin Phoenix is a good Joker, because I've loved what I've seen from him in the trailers. You can make great trailers for bad movies, but if he's good, I want it. I
Yeah.
want to see them.
And then like they can like make that world Batman's world because it looks like kind of 80s, but also
It's
a little
it's
out of
not.
time.
It's definitely not modern time, but it doesn't look like too far in the past. So that could easily be that kind of set outside of time
Yeah.
thing. Because yeah, that's the fun. Like, because I didn't really think about that much till like I started thinking about like I think I was reading someone talking about that same thing of like yeah, the Batman animated series. It's just kind of in its own time period. You don't have to worry about it. You know,
Yeah.
it's good stuff. Last is just Avengers Endgame is coming back to theaters. Did you know about this?
Is it out of theaters?
No, but it's coming back to in I'm pretty sure in our local Cinemarks they are still playing, but it's coming back like next weekend already because well to answer why it's because they're only $40 million away from beating Avatar. And Avatar had re-releases, so it's not unfair. Like that's,
Yeah.
but it's clearly like they're already Disney's like get it there, get it there, get it there. There will be to get those people in. There will be some deleted scenes. It's gonna be 7 minutes longer.
Okay.
At the end, there will. He said there will be a deleted scene, a little tribute after the credits. There might be something. He said there will be a few surprises, Kevin Feige. A few
It's gotta
surprises.
get every single person who saw the movie back in the theater.
Right? So my question to you was like, are you gonna see? Are you maybe gonna go? Because my
Like
first
I'm gonna wait until
right
and see what what the surprises
if
are.
people are like blew my mind, okay.
Yeah.
Because when this first like came out, like the news came out about it, my first reaction is like, oh, they're not gonna get me to see it again. But then when I thought about it, I'm like, I mean, if there's some extra scenes and an end credits, like people are theorizing. Some people are like, is it gonna be like a end credit where it's gonna be like X-Men? It's like, well, no, there's no way they're ready for X-Men. Some people are like, oh, what if there was a Fantastic Four tease? There could be like an Easter egg for it put in there at the end, but not like I don't think they've even cast people for like that.
That could be the announcement where he's like, "Well, we cast John Krasinski and
Yeah,
Emily
dude,
Blunt."
everyone wants it. I don't think it's gonna happen, but everyone wants it. Um, it's also because people are theorizing it's either that'll be there. Or, when does Comic Con happen? By the way, are you aware?
I think it's July.
July. Okay. From what I heard, Disney or specifically Marvel, they're like, oh, we're not going to be at Comic Con this year, and
What?
a lot of other companies also like big ones were like, yeah, we're probably not going to go, and it's like, wow, Comic Con's losing its steam, and then Marvel's like, we're going to Comic Con, we're still going back. It kind of seems like they faked everyone out, and so now people again
Like
are
people
like,
are canceling their Comic Con tickets,
and now people are like, are they going to show like, because they might do like a say if they have casted like a Mr. Fantastic, they might do like what they do with Chadwick Boseman, where they like showed concept art and then like they walked him out on stage, they introduced him. So they don't have to have any footage or anything because I know they're not. Everyone likes to think they're like 20 steps ahead, but they're not ready for
Yeah.
footage. Like I doubt they probably have barely done costume tests, but I'd love to see like, oh yeah, we cast. Yeah, I mean Krasinski.
That would be the most exciting thing they could do.
That'd be dope. But yeah, some people are wondering what that would be. I can't imagine what like, because if they said there's gonna be something after the credits, so I can't imagine what they'd put there. It just seems like maybe it would be something Spider-Man-y. Maybe they'd be doing something multiversy because like they're kind of setting that up. Who knows?
Eternals.
It could be something Eternals because that's been in production a bit. It could even be for one of the movies that like we haven't heard anything from in years, like Doctor Strange 2 or Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
I
don't even know what's coming.
No, it's
next year.
It's a real blank slate, like look wise.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna surprise us. Supposedly, the first thing that'll come is the Black Widow movie.
Which
you seem excited.
Like I'm sure it'll be good and I'll probably see it, but I'm not excited.
Yeah, it's not like my big draw, because I mean it's probably gonna be a spy movie.
If they get Hawkeye in it and it's like a
that was my thing. I was talking with like my dad about it, and I said, yeah, what would get me excited is throw a little Hawkeye in there.
Yeah, throw a little Hawkeye.
Because I like me some Hawkeye. I'm not gonna lie. Like a lot of people like crapped on him in the first Avengers movie, but these days I feel like Hawkeye's really earned his keep. Like he's really cool. But besides that, that's all the movie news. This is a period I wanted to add at the end of our podcast from now on. I just call it the soapbox, where it's anything you want to talk about. Us personally, if we have a rant, if there's a movie we've seen recently, we want to highlight. I want to ask you, is there anything you've seen recently been brought to your attention as I drink my water?
Yes, I recently saw the movie Rocket Man. If you're not familiar, it is the biopic of Sir Elton John, and he's a musician.
Not gonna lie, literally before we were gonna record this, I asked him if he'd seen any movies recently. He told me Rocket Man. When I just asked him now, I completely forgot what you answered, so that was like a surprise. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like Rocket Man, you saw that. Exciting. Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your train of thought. It's your soapbox now.
And so, I guess this is the time I'll tell you what I thought about it. So I feel like the best way to talk about it is to compare it to Bohemian Rhapsody, which is
everyone already does.
It's very similar, but the things it does better and right is it's a fantastical movie, which means there's a lot of like. Have you ever seen Across the Universe?
Yeah.
It's like that. There's a lot of scenes like that where it's
a reality break. It breaks from reality at times.
And there's like some really cool scenes where the songs really match with like the visuals and stuff, and the dances are cool.
Cool.
And so I think that's what music biopics need to be going forward. That
Mm-hmm.
being said, the story is just as boring as Bohemian Rhapsody,
Aw,
and
that's sad.
like the it's way less climactic than Bohemian Rhapsody was, because Bohemian Rhapsody had like a 30-minute music thing at the end,
Which
and
is if you come for Queen music, that's all you need.
yeah, and you're there for the music anyway. And so the climax of Elton John's movie was um, "I'm Still Standing," which is a song nobody really cares about, and then it kind of just
Wow.
bubbles into the credits, and you're like, "Oh, I guess it's over now." And so,
Wow, that's interesting. It's one of those things where, like, I heard they kept it a little truer to life in the Rocket Man than they did Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, I heard they took a lot of liberties with the truth in Bohemian Rhapsody.
oh yeah, I'm sure a lot of what happened, just story wise, happened in real life, but like,
That's one of those
it
things
doesn't.
where it seems like, because life doesn't have climaxes a lot of the
Yeah,
time, story wise
they
climaxes.
really focused on like making the arc his drug addiction, which is like boring in the first place, and then like
Wow.
the way he overcomes it, which like there's not a lot you can do, but he just kind of says to his younger self like, "Hey, you're cool," and he's like, "You're cool back," and it's like, "Oh, I feel better about myself. I'm not gonna do drugs anymore."
And that's very, like, that could very easily symbolize how it really went down in his head, but that might just not be a
Yeah,
interesting movie point, you know?
it's just
That's that weird thing about telling true stories is like people complain when like they change things, but sometimes you gotta change things. I don't know.
and like the best thing to do for a biopic is like choose like an event in his life that you can trace, because it's not gonna be a good movie if you try to do his whole life.
Yeah,
Like Selma did Martin Luther King Jr. very well
the
because
March on Selma.
it focused on one event,
Yeah,
and you got his character from that.
yeah. I stand by also like the Steve Jobs movie with Michael Fassbender,
Yeah,
where it's not about his life a ton. It's specifically the what's taking place is it's just over the course of like many different years. You're just him talking to people before 3 product launches,
yeah.
and you get to learn so much about the character
You know, it'd
through
be
that.
cool.
What? Tell me.
A biopic, music biopic, 3 different concerts through his career.
Interesting. That'd be cool. You could see a lot.
I think that would have been a good thing to do for Elton John.
Probably because his
Eh,
concerts have changed a lot.
yeah, and like keep the fantastical elements, so have a lot of like things that go take you to different places, but you're still kind of. I don't know. That might not work. I don't know. It's already made, so
Yeah.
we can think about other
Yeah.
things.
It's the easy part. Like, 'cause, our good friend, like Matthew. There's another Matthew that we know, not me. Not talking about myself in the third person. Who talked to me about how like he was watching some like YouTube videos. Everyone makes YouTube videos about how like they'd make this movie better, kind of a thing.
Hmm.
And he's like, he was talking to me about like copyright stuff and how it's like, oh, there's so many people with good ideas out there that's like it's a shame they can't make this Star Wars or this whatever movie. And I'm like, you gotta take those with a grain of salt because they literally get to look at a finished product and be like, here's the beats I'd change. Like here's what I'd do with you made a 5 course meal. Here's the different spices I'd put on it.
Yeah.
It's not. These people couldn't make a movie from scratch. I'm sorry, just because they and anyone can look at something like after it's made. Like even the directors can be like, yeah, I'd change that. If going back, I'd know that's how it would turn out. Like that's
Yeah.
not how movie making works.
And slight tangent,
Yeah.
but I saw a video similar to that about Prince Caspian, the movie,
Uh huh.
and he was basically saying, "Hey, you know how they did this? Let's do like this instead." And he basically just recounted what the book was, and I'm like, dude,
Could have just said do the book
yeah, you could.
and do the video. Well, that was I kind of stepped on your soapbox a little there. I apologize.
No, my soapbox is over.
Okay, well, I'm gonna step on mine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slide it over and call it mine now and step up on it. This is just a movie I saw fairly recently. It's a movie I'm sure no one's heard of called All Is True. It's about Shakespeare. It's by director of Thor, guy who played Hamlet.
Kenneth.
I'm freaking out. Kenneth Branagh.
Branagh.
Branagh. Um, it's about Shakespeare. Um, his theater has just burned down. He's going back home for the first time in years to his wife and daughters, and essentially what you find out is that this is the premise, still not spoiler here, that he left like basically as soon as like his son died. and he never properly mourned his son. So then he comes back and he's like, I'm gonna start thinking about my son a lot. And his family's like, we've moved on. And it's a very acting movie. It's an art house kind of
Yeah.
film. It's not for everyone, but I really liked it because there's great performances. It's just interesting character drama. There's some scenes where it's like the one of his daughters that like there's a big scene at the end where there's kind of a certain revelation about something like he was lied to about Shakespeare, and like the daughter is like real emotional and like this is impressive acting all around. It's just it was a good time. I saw it with my parents and
Yeah.
they really liked it. Also, it's like countryside in England is really pretty, great cinematography. I just want to shout out that movie because the opening weekend I think it was only in 65 theaters in the country,
Mm.
and one of those was near me, and it was I more of wanted to get up on the soapbox, not just to say, hey, I liked a movie, but that I love the experience of, I really didn't know much about this movie. I knew the basic premise. But like a little artsy film I don't know anything about, go to my local Angelica and just watch it and just enjoy a movie I knew nothing about. I think it's something more people, if you really like movies, should do because there's so many movies, the big studio ones these days, and I love those. But there's something special about just going to a theater and seeing a small film, like even like one like not many people saw. Like you were kind enough to invite me to see the Sisters Brothers
Yeah.
one time, which is like I didn't put it in my top 10 of the year, but it was such a fun time to just go see this movie I knew really nothing
Yeah.
about and just enjoy it. I just wanted to have that little for the the industry. This is me talking to the industry about how much I love it.
No more trailers. Keep
Ever.
every movie
I want
a
to know nothing.
secret.
Okay, still on the soapbox. Spider-Man: Far From Home. Sony has lost their minds. They do this every time. They showed too much in every dang trailer. They almost ruined Homecoming. Like they did everything in their power to ruin Homecoming for me. I'm trying to stay away from them, but they're putting out like clip after clip. They did this for Into the Spider-Verse. They're like, hey, you know how there's funny scenes in our movie? Let's put all of them on the internet before the movie comes
Yeah.
out. This is a great idea. Because there were like some studies that people like to go see movies more when they actually know more about it. It's this weird psychological thing. And they're just like, yep, that's what we're going to live and die by. And then the Russo brothers are like, no, we're going to try to have very little in our trailers. And we broke all the records, almost, almost all the records. Disney will get them there, but it's just sorry, I don't know why that set me off just about Sony being, they're my least favorite advertisers when it comes to movie trailers in the world. I hate them. Anyway, did you have any more soapbox, anything you want to talk about? I just have like a couple tiny little points here at the end.
Um. No, I should have prepped. No, I don't.
No, it's fine. This is just one other thing is I saw a movie on a plane ride home from vacation called Free Solo. You might know it as what
It's
won Best Documentary.
it's in my queue.
So, that movie, first of all, really good documentary. I was surprised. Two, I was on a plane and it's about free solo rock climbing, which is like they're going up El Capitan, which is like in Yosemite, one of the most sheer rock faces ever. There's some camera angles that are dizzying, and I'm already on a plane, and I was really dizzy on that flight, but I didn't stop watching because I was engrossed. I just want to shout out that was a more interesting, just a well-made documentary than I would have expected a guy hyping up to go up a mountain would have been.
Yeah.
Also, it's frightening to watch, even though like you probably can guess that it's not going to be like a tragic ending based on like a lot of things, but because do you know what free soloing is?
Yeah.
Okay, it's no rope. It's the El Capitan climb, so people know it's a 3,000 foot climb. It took him 4 hours with no rope. This guy was insane. He actually might have had something wrong with him, but they get into that a little bit. But it was a very interesting movie. I just wanted to shout out that it was.
That sounds like Grizzly Man, but it does end unfortunately.
Oh
and
no.
and like the main guy's not being interviewed, so like, oh, he probably dies at the
Oh
end.
no. Yeah, there were like so many people. It's just crazy a community of people that like are so like, yeah, we could die. And it's like, oh yeah, Steve died last week.
Yeah.
Really sucks. And specifically this guy, he kind of doesn't emote properly. Like I think he has a slight something on the social like spectrum,
Yeah.
and so he's like really unfeeling towards that stuff. But it was just an interesting watch, and if you're not afraid of vertigo, I recommend you watch that movie because his film crew and directors they were like made of professional rock climbers, so they were able to
That's helpful.
they were able to get everywhere on the walls and stuff. Because like you can't send a regular film crew out to go off like one of the worst cliff faces in the country. Anyway, that's the end of my soapbox talk. And that would be the end of our podcast. Congrats, Doll. I appreciate your quiet clapping over there a lot. I thought you were just gonna air clap, which was just visual, but I realized you were waiting for me to stop
I
talking.
was like building up.
I was so confused what you were going for. Anyway, that's the normal cast. It is so good to be back. Hopefully, we'll keep this going for a bit over the summer. I certainly am free.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
have a lot
free.
going on. And yeah, that's us. Have an absolutely wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.